It's 2022, and for some reason, we're still titling reboots the same way we did as the original. We did it for Ghostbusters, we did it for God of War, we did it for Halloween, twice, and now here we are with Scream 5 being called Scream.
But why?
Scream, or as it should be called Scream 5, is the newest addition to the ongoing franchise starring Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. Originally directed by Wes Craven, this new film comes to us from Ready or Not filmmakers Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillett. Like most reboots/sequels, this film brings on a new cast starring Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid, Dylan Minnette, and many others. Because this is a Scream film, the meta commentary is throughout the entire film, even right down to its existence and the plot as a whole. This film sees the Ghostface Killer return, targeting a new group of kids that have ties to the victims and killers of the original film, so it's up to the original and new cast to band together and stop the Ghostface Killer once and for all. First off, I should warn all Scream fans, the original cast is not in this film as much as you think they are. Considering this is a reboot/sequel, the focus is put more on the new cast rather than focusing on the old ones. As I was watching it, I was surprised at how restrained the filmmakers were at using the original cast and putting their faith and trust in the new cast. So, this begs the question, is the new cast good and able to hold their own against the original? For the most part, I'd say yes. Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, and Jack Quaid are the easy highlights from the new cast. Each are doing a great job with their roles, and the film gives us enough to not only care about them, but to question who could be the Ghostface Killer among them. Some of the rest of the supporting cast is good, like Jasmine Savoy Brown stealing a lot of the scenes she's in, but the rest of the supporting cast feels more like they're there to be bodies, which makes sense for this genre. But when you compare this film to the original, the film knew to keep its supporting cast small enough so we can connect to them more and still wonder who among them could be the killer. Here, I feel like there was one too many supporting characters, so when one got killed off, I'd be like, who? I will say, slasher movies are not my favorite subgenre of horror movies. I have nothing against them, I'm just not the biggest fan of them. However, Scream might be my favorite slasher film because of how much it satirizes horror movies and slasher films as a whole. When a satire can find the balance of taking itself seriously and knowing when to have fun, that's when I really start to enjoy the film. Thankfully, this Scream knows when to take itself seriously and when to have fun with itself. The one thing I was hoping for with this film was some clever and sharp commentary about either horror films or movies in general, and boy does this film deliver. Referencing the new artsy wave of horror films like Hereditary and The Babadook, this film also completely goes after the notion of reboots/sequels, or as this film calls them, requels, and the problems that come with them. I don't want to go too much into it, but if you're a fan of how this series satirizes horror films and movies as a whole, you're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Because it's a slasher film, the scares aren't really a big priority of the film. The idea is more to create a sense of dread and uneasiness rather than terrify the audience, and I think this film did a good job for the most part. I won't act like there's memorable scares, but because the film did a good job getting me to care about the characters and wondering who the killer could be, it made all the scenes of tension and dread work a lot better than recent slasher films like Halloween Kills. Should we get another Scream after this? Honestly, I think this would be a good place to end the franchise. But because this isn't just another slasher series and there's constantly new tropes to satirize, maybe I'll be open to a sequel, but only time will tell. Overall, Scream was a blast from start to finish and a film that honestly surprised me with how good it was considering it's a horror movie released in January, and that's usually a death sentence. If you're a fan of the Scream franchise or a fan of slasher films in general, check this one out as soon as you can. I'm going to give Scream an 8 out of 10.